a reputation for making nice, solid equipment, and we like to say we sort of make equipment the old-fashioned way, which is sturdy and robust. So again, we are in the scrap handling, pneumatic systems. We are in warehousing, distribution, which would be classified in the industry section. So we are doing everything involving, material handling fans, trim cutters, a lot of components that maybe some of you guys make yourselves, and then some that you don't. And so we're just trying to make you aware of hey, we can be a source for items that you may have not thought of us before. And going forward, we always try to be a customer-centric organization where we ask a lot of questions. We try to be very sound in our applications, whether it's with a resale group or with the end users. And again, our applications are going to be in everything from corrugated to a folding carton paperboard to nonwovens, tissue mills, lighter gauge metals, and everything on the shredding, trim cutting, conveying side. We've got a little bit of experience in a lot of different areas that we can, I think, be a good resource for you on. And as Frank mentioned earlier too, everything is made in America. We take a pretty good stance on trying to purchase as much as we can domestically wise for our components, and this year it's kind of helped us out. We are, tariffs aren't a big factor in us, but again, we try to do as much as we can in-house, from engineering, designing, painting, a whole ball of wax, and to get you be in control of our of what we put out the door. So, and again, we work hard to have a good presence in the market where people look highly upon us for having a good piece of equipment that's going to last a long time. And we've been around for over 90 years, and we hope to be around for another 90. So,
right. All right. Thank you, Dan. The last part that I want to share from the business standpoint is how we believe we can help you grow your business. We make equipment, but we also offer these parts and repairs, which is an additional revenue stream for you guys. We are very serious with continuous improvement and operational efficiency. As we have said, there are so many risks: inflationary pressure, tariff situation. When you look at BloApCo prices, we try to pass through most of these efficiencies. These days, we enjoy a very aggressive lead time. So that's a result of operational efficiency and continuous improvement. Our prices are pretty steady. Of course, there's some price increase eventually, but not to the level of other manufacturers that see more impact in their operations. We are very serious with applications and how to help you to go to other markets, and we offer a full product line. So again, we want to be that partner to grow, to help you grow your business.
So now we'll kind of go through a review of all the different types of products that BloApCo has to offer. All of you on this call have likely been involved with BloApCo in one of these aspects or another. Some of you may have worked with us on shredders or trim cutters or material handling fans, but we kind of wanted to put this call together because a lot of times when we're talking to resellers and OEMs, and we kind of go through this, we get the feedback that, oh, I didn't know all that BloApCo had to offer. So for lack of, this is the product review is basically going to be alphabetical. So we're going to start with bale transfer units. These are designed to kind of help as the baler is producing the bales, get the bales moved out of the way so that the material handlers can move a couple bales at a time, and you don't necessarily have to worry about the baler pushing the bale through the wall or out into the parking lot if they don't come by. Next is conveyors. So if you've worked with us on shredders, you probably know that we'll typically supply the conveyor going along with it, which we customize the conveyors based on any kind of width or length as needed. But we can also do conveyors on their own. So a conveyor that, for example, may take scrap from a collector, from a separator, and convey it over into a baler, or any various applications. We've got rough top belts, smooth top belts. We can add cleats if necessary, if the material is slicker. If you've got smaller materials, we can add on skirting or full width belt to help keep material from going underneath the conveyor belt. Next up, we've got control panels. So with our equipment, we can provide the controls and starters and PLCs and programming required to control that equipment. We've also added in additional HMIs with screens and buttons and monitoring capabilities there. A lot of times we do see that customers where the equipment is back in the baler room, they like having the push button controls to make it simple for the operators if it's, continuously bringing on new people, or it's fairly easy to get them trained up on how to operate with push buttons, and then can also add in the HMI and screen in addition to that.
On the panels, I would like to also comment. We can produce UL and CE certified panels.
Yes, thank you. Next up, we've got Cyclones. So we also manufacture, manufacture Cyclones, which can separate, if you're pneumatically conveying scrap, it can separate the scrap from the conveying air. And with a Cyclone, that air could either run to a dust filter to return the air back to the plant, or those run with a high enough efficiency of pulling out the scrap and a lot of the dust that you can also vent them directly to atmosphere. We've got many sizes ranging from 36-inch diameter up to 10 feet diameter on the Cyclone. So you can handle air volumes in any amount. And we can vary the number of inlets based on how many production lines you have at your facility that you need to add this Cyclone to.
We're cool comment on Cyclones is, commonly used for corrugated carton scrap, but we've designed them for light items too, plastic films, lightweight, tissue materials, and a little more specialty items. So we got some design changes for the Cyclones depending upon your exact material type coming in. So.
And then next up, we have diverters. So in any case where you want to pick up material using one fan and alternate it between two different machines or pieces of production equipment, we would call that a suction side diverter. And we can even do a sequencing controls where you're switching back and forth every X amount of time to keep both pieces of production equipment, say a die cutter, serviced with one material handling fan. Alternatively, we can add a diverter on the pressure side of the fan. So out of the fan discharge, you could split it as you see kind of in the second picture from the left on the bottom. You've got a diverter that's splitting that's able to select which cyclone it wants to send the material to. So if you had two balers, you could add a diverter in there and you could select which cyclone you wanted to send the scrap to based on which one is operational. We can run the diverters using a compressed air cylinder, a pneumatic rotary actuator, an electric gear motor, or we can also do just a manual lever for very intermittent changes, all based on what suits the customer's operation, whether they've got electric or compressed air, or whether they're not going to move it as much and would prefer just that manual operation. Next up, we've got duct silencers. So if there's a facility that is concerned with the amount of noise emission from a piece of pneumatic conveying equipment, be it a trim cutter or a material handling fan, we can fabricate duct silencers to any diameter from 3 inches up to over 20-inch diameter to suit the diameter of ducting that's being used in the application. We build it, it's a little bit like a muffler. We've got perforated metal on the inside and then a wall, a ring around, and an outer tube of solid metal. And we've got special acoustic absorbing foam fill in between, which absorbs the sound waves but still allows the material to pass through the silencer. And we can do it in any given length that you would need, whether it be 4 feet, 5 feet, up to 10 feet length. And then you can even put these in after the fact. If you've got a certain section, you could make the silencer the same length as a piece of duct, or we could supply it with companion flanges so that you could cut out a section of duct, weld the new flanges in, and bolt it all back together to overall just reduce the amount of noise that the operators may be hearing and complaining about. Next up, that brings us to fans. We've got a number of different material handling fans. Our models range from whether you're just handling a 6-inch or a 7-inch duct, all the way up to a 20 or a 22-inch duct. We can work with you on the sizing, asking the questions that would be needed to properly size the fan. And our material handling fans are very heavy duty. They're built to convey large chunks of material, and they're built to run for decades. They have a design that has been fine-tuned through the decades of BloApCo's history, and is now at a very robust design that lasts for a long time. Next up, we've got filters. So like I mentioned with the Cyclones, they can discharge to outside, or they can run through a filter and be brought back into the plant. So there's a number of different filter options that we can do depending on the type of material and the application and the local regulations, whether it be from a hanging bag style filter to a pulse jet style filter, and with balancing fans to help reduce the overall amount of back pressure that's felt with the system.
Yeah, when you're talking dust filters too, is these are all air system ones, but if you're doing a piggyback shredder at a warehouse distribution center type of thing, we also offer dust filters for the back of shredders. If somebody is real dust conscious, shredders are pretty low to begin with, but sometimes the situation requires a very clean environment. So we do offer that, and if we can quote as many options as needed. So.
Mhm. Next, just a quick note on fittings. So our material handling fans and our trim cutters have the standard, whether it be round or square inlets and outlets. We can also add on an inlets and outlet fittings to get you to the exact diameter of the ducting that you're planning on using throughout the rest of your system, so you don't need to fabricate that transition piece yourself. We can do just a simple taper to a different diameter. We could do a Y where you're pulling in from two locations or more. We've done some fittings where you've got 4 to 6 inlets on them if you're pulling from that number of pickup points. And we can adjust the ring flange as needed, depending on the type, whether it's the standard angle flange or a Kirk and Bloom, or if you're using Nordfab ducting, we can put that adapter piece right on the end coming out from the factory. Next, we've got floor sweeps. So these are sometimes options that are put in along with a shredder that's back in a baler room to give the opportunity to sweep up a broken bale. Sometimes there's a standalone fan that's just dedicated to that floor sweep that can be turned on when you're feeding that material back in. And when we tie it in with a shredder, we've got a pan that blocks off the inlet when you've got that Y fitting. So you can choose whether you want to pull air through the shredder when you're shredding, or whether you're looking to pull air from the floor sweep. And they're designed to handle, operators. They're made of probably 10 gauge material designed to have operators that aren't as careful when sweeping stuff up. They're not going to get damaged in that regard. Next, that brings us to oil mist units. So along with some of our trim cutters, if we're in an application where you're handling pressure sensitive adhesive, we would include an oil mist unit on there using just a basic mineral oil to coat the inside of the trim cutter and the duct work with a light layer of fine droplets to coat that and keep the adhesive from sticking and building up within that trim cutter or causing plugs in the system as it continues on. And we've also done some other oil separator type units at aluminum can facilities where their machines use a lot of oil to run, and they would have issues with the amount of oil that's coming out the bottom of their cyclone. We've done oil separators as well to help capture and drain that oil out before it makes it to that separator. Next, we've got safety drop plates. So if you've worked with us on shredders, you probably know that we've got safety drop plates as standard with any shredder application and implementation out there. The purpose of this is a passive means of safety. So passive meaning the operator doesn't, or someone who falls onto the conveyor doesn't need to actively reach out and pull a safety pull cable or someone doesn't need to hit a safety, an e-stop button. The passive means of safety is that if anything 70 pounds or more falls on that conveyor and runs over the safety drop plate, it will trip the spring tension linkage, tripping the limit switch and tripping out the safety circuit with the associated piece of equipment, be it a shredder or a conveyor system, stopping that conveyor immediately and keeping something or someone from falling into the shredder. Or we can also put these safety drop plates in on conveyor systems that don't have a shredder if the customer is just looking for that additional safety of someone falling into the baler, which can be just as dangerous in that aspect. So we can work with any of the major or any conveyor company to supply the identical width and the same bolt hold pattern so that this safety drop plate can be installed just like a piece of conveyor. The only additional thing would be wiring in the limit switch to the associated safety circuit. Next up, we've got shredders. So our shredders are designed with three or more counter rotating shafts to pierce and tear material using low RPM but high torque with the shafts. So you get a high shredding throughput with low noise, low amount of dust generated, and very good operator satisfaction because they don't need to wear double hearing protection like they may need to with some of the higher speed hogger type of units. We do many shredder widths ranging from 36 inches wide up to 110 inches wide, based on the width of the scrap that your customer has, the amount of the space that they have within their facility. And we can also do a number of other options, be it angled incline conveyors. If material's on the floor, we can do our standard horizontal. We can add additional shafts if need be, if they've got some taller items that they need shredded. We've also done some pickup boot shredders handling larger die cuts that may cause an issue when being conveyed through the scrap system. Additionally, we've done piggyback shredders, which are mounted directly above a baler that the material runs up an incline conveyor, gets shredded, and falls down directly into the baler. We've done, instead of our 3-shaft shredder, a 5-shaft shredder that has a larger bite and can handle high throughput of, when we get to here, the 5-shaft shredder can handle high throughput of moderate sized boxes that would normally overwhelm a baler, especially when it hits its tie cycle. The benefit of the shredder is that it helps your baler work more efficiently, and the entire conveyor system throughout the facility doesn't need to stop whenever the baler hits a tie cycle, because that can cause a lot of issues with empty boxes getting jammed on the conveyor and then maintenance needing to go and break those up. And then to the left on this screen, we've also got a small core shredder that we can do if a customer is looking for a standalone shredder to process cores from their corrugated or paperboard plants. And we also do an even larger core shredder for if you're at a recycling facility that's getting truckloads of cores brought back to them, or a core manufacturing facility that has a lot of cores that are being scrapped or brought back to them from customers that are done with them. So a lot of options on the core shredding aspect.
And when you're looking at the shredders, as Isaac said, we've got generally between 3 and 5 counter rotating shafts, and we can put box crushers on. We've added even extra shafts, a 6 shaft, depending upon what we're doing. And we can roll them, pure vertical, horizontal. There's a lot of different variations. So if you're looking at any of the BloApCo literature, pictures, what have you, and you don't think that something there is going to work for you based upon your product or maybe space available, give us a call. There's decades and decades of different orientations and designs that we can work with you on. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and if you give us a call, there's usually a drawing that we've done throughout our history. And if not, as we'll kind of touch on later, we have engineering services to create a brand new sales or general arrangement drawing as necessary to help in your conversations with your customers, to have that drawing that you can mark up and change and revise as needed. So next we've got sound enclosures. These are basically what their name says. They're enclosures that have an acoustic dampening material on the inside of them with baffled vent holes to allow the heat from the motors to escape, similar to the duct silencers, reduce the amount of noise that's being heard by the equipment operators, and just kind of improve the workplace by kind of reducing noise, which has been a big push from a lot of customers that we've heard on our end, is reducing noise for their operators. Then that brings us to trim cutters. We've got, over half a dozen different trim cutter models, each built to last using cast iron castings and aluminum cast covers or full fabricated housings. These are very heavy duty. They've got replaceable knives that can be sharpened and can handle materials ranging anywhere from 1/2 thousandth of an inch up to 1/4 of an inch thick. If we've got different trim cutters for any application out there. If it can be slit, we can cut it. So we've got a lot of the literature on our website, but if you've ever got any sort of edge trim application, feel free to give us a call. We're more than happy to help select the perfect trim cutter for your application.
As you can see, I think we've got probably of the trim cutter manufacturers, probably the broadest selection of models and the most unique setups and arrangements out there for the different applications that are again, like the shredders, keep in mind is that we can do a lot of different things. If something comes in your head, hey, that doesn't quite fit, could you possibly do this? Give us a call. Again, we've arranged them in so many different ways over the years that we try to be real user-friendly in our design and application. So.
And ranging anywhere from our model 7.9 trim cutter that can cut anything as thin as 1/2 thousandth of an inch up to our model 13.3 tissue log shredder that can handle basically a roll of bath tissue that's 10 feet long and chop that up. That kind of gives a good range of what we can cut. Next, we've got Venturis. So with this, if you're looking for something that you don't want to cut the trim, we can supply a Venturi that will just provide the suction and pull and push the continuous ribbon all the way back to your collection point. So this is most of the things that we've done, but just to add on to it, we have other services, like I mentioned, with engineering to either design new configurations or just draw and model up these shredder options for discussing with your customer. We've got applications engineers to help with sizing up the equipment, so that we can be the BloApCo equipment experts that give you the information that you need to have an informed discussion with your customer on the the reasons why you might want to consider certain applications or certain items when speccing out scrap handling equipment. We've shown some of the customizations that we can do, but that's by no means a limitation. We're always open to continuing and adding on more customizations based on the different applications that you have. We're located in Germantown, Wisconsin. Like Dan mentioned, we build all of our equipment here. We've had resellers bring customers in if they're close to buying, but just kind of want to see if they can come here to Germantown and see that out in the shop is where we're building all of our equipment. We've brought material in for a shred test. We can take photos and videos for the shred test if it's a unique material. We're happy to provide real life examples of what the shredder is going to do or what the trim cutter is going to do. And we also have repair services for trim cutters and material handling fans, and can provide that aftermarket support and service.